Peace.
Yo 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 everyone, Mechs horn.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. It is Monday, May 25th. It is almost June.
It's almost June. It's almost summer.
It's
Right around
about
the
summer.
corner.
As you said earlier, I think it was last week when we were hanging out playing some games. We're about halfway through Saturday of our your 6 month, mine. I don't know how long. Summer.
I mean, hopefully we get to go back. At this rate.
Oh,
Good Lord. Rob27 Shred. What's up? Exo Squid. Kimchi Jody Boy. First time here, finally caught y'all live. Thanks, man. Thanks for showing up.
Thanks for coming and hanging out, Kinnick. Always first. Appa,
Always.
how y'all doing? Zerkowski, I don't know if you're still here. You are. Can answer your question about dipping the wire into the lube. I think it more has to do with the fact that I have like a tub and not just like a little vial. I'm able to tap the wire onto the bottom of the tub, so that way it kind of gets a little bit of excess off.
Secrets.
And then I do kind of try to remove a little bit, try to make it as even as possible. Having a little bit of extra lube on the wire is never really a bad thing. You can always clean lube off, but that's one of the hardest things to go back in and like touch up later. Yeah. So
unless you have just like the Swissiest of cheese plates.
Yeah. Or if like you're using something like, so I was actually talking to Drifting Bunnies about this after I built the Austin V2. And I didn't know this because I hadn't built an Austin before. And I hadn't really recognized it on stream, but the stab wire goes under the switch.
Yes. South facing.
Yeah, it's south facing stabs, which is huge, which means you can literally adjust the stabs without having to take like the entire board apart. I know that caused some clearance issues for him, but it definitely makes it a lot easier to adjust on the fly if you need to.
Absolutely. How's everybody doing? How was everyone's? I hope you guys are enjoying your Memorial Day weekend. If you guys, and most of you are probably working from home. Maybe you got to enjoy a 3-day weekend of at least just not having to work from home. So, not Gio, what's up, dude?
So he put whoop on his the sub, and it just the text to speech bot was just like whoop.
Whoop.
It was a very sad whoop. But Gio, appreciate it. 10 months, man. Also, Rob, thank you for the sub when we were in the starting soon screen. Appreciate it, my dude.
Mm-hmm.
Summer should be a sad whoop. Not 12 months. It's true. You didn't get the full 12 months. We've been here for 12 months, but you haven't. Wow. I'm disappointed.
Just took burgers off the grill. Jealous. Well, I had pho, and like, so when we make pho, we make enough broth for two. But when you freeze it and then you thaw it out, a lot of that water goes away. So it's just like, oof. It's almost better the second time.
Nice. Did you do anything fun this Memorial Day? I know it's still.
I spent a lot of time working on the bedroom. So it's, if you guys haven't noticed, I am closer to the wall. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we can talk about it. So I've been wanting. I mean, I have changed my setup multiple times as I have been kind of trying to find. So the issue is, my wife and I, we both play video games a lot. And while I love streaming and she supports the stream, she doesn't necessarily want to be on it all the time. And so it's been difficult because we just have a 2-bedroom apartment. It's been difficult trying to find a way to get my desk in a way where she is not on the camera actively. and that she could be able to go like outside. Oh, I just realized he fell.
Oh no.
He's having a hard time staying up.
He couldn't
We're
handle
gonna
the
move him
power.
down, apparently. So like having it not face the door was important. Having an interesting background was always something fun for me instead of just having it be like the blinds or, something. And so it's just framing and all that. And last night I realized I had made a miscalculation in my measuring of things, and so we were able to like reorganize our setup. And we're kind of like our setups are back to back now, and so I'm kind of tucked in my corner. And the other thing too is we actually couldn't close the door. I made another mistake whenever we got the place. I thought that this way was 2 inches longer, and it wasn't. And I discovered that literally when we were putting the desks in. Osiris was there.
It was an intense amount of frustration.
Because I was just like, it was like that much. It was, and our movers are like trying to move shit in, and they're like, "What's going on?" I'm like, I just looked at my wife and I was like, "We could just pin the door open, like we've got the space and it fits." And we're like, "All right." And so we just pinned the door open. And so literally for almost 14 months now, the door's just been pinned open. So we can actually close that now, which is nice. And then I don't have to deal with like the light from the blinds because it stays pretty light now. It used to be like pitch black during daylight savings, but but yeah, I've got a nice little setup. I've got my Austin I can kind of show off, although it's a little blurry. I've got my little Chewy figures, Gatoron always hanging out. I moved some of my favorite Funkos. I've still got some art that I need to put over here. And I've got my little Flash poster. I don't know how long he will stay there. And then I got to figure out how to get him to stay up.
Hey,
because he's super top. He's not the worst. McCree.
Yeah. I've got two McCrees, and one of them's just perma falling over. Have you even done like the dip them in hot water thing and try to like bend the legs? And yeah, no, it doesn't work. But yeah, what we started this last week again. What's on your desk, Chewy? While we got Big Chewy.
Desk? So while Big Chewy got my Fiel in white with GMK Minimal, the GMK Icon Minimal add-on kit, Mr. Sleeves. Kind of thought it was appropriate to have Mr. Sleeves on the board this week, as hopefully we'll have Mr. Sleeves himself be joining us on Wednesday. I did reconfirm with him yesterday. That's why the announcement was super delayed. My apologies on that. But yeah, this is my Fiel. It's got Zykos, the original Zykos on it. Brass plate. Love this board. Had it Cerakoted in white recently. I think this just looks super clean.
Yeah, so, it is. It's a really clean look.
And then, if you guys are the wrist rest type, Orcas makes great wrist rest.
Yeah, that's been your tried and true.
I've got two of them. Yeah, I've got two. I've got one for my Austin, and I've got one for my 60%, and then CYO made one for my Singa. So,
I'm surprised the Singa. I'm surprised the Singa left the desk this week.
It was like, it was because I was like, I'm using this too much. I don't want to put this away.
Too much enjoyment. Well, pull it on over. So, this week, for me, I don't really have like a ton of mail. But Chewy and his wife swung by this past weekend. Chewy dropped off some caps. So I've got added a few nice little Sodi caps, as well as a CYO claw that I was supposed to get during the 24-hour, but ended up not picking up. And then the far as what is on my desk, no surprise here probably. Also rocking a Zyko board, has not left my desk since I built it. And that is the Iron 165 Plum
Beautiful.
with GMK9s, which is shined because it was on my Sirius that got used heavily. But yeah, that might be on my desk. This might be on my desk for a while. It feels great, sounds great, looks fantastic. Nines does look absolutely fantastic on it. It does look a little bit maroon when you put nines on it, but when you have, it's a little bit more purpley in person. The purple doesn't really come through on camera as well. It looks very maroon, but I'm excited. Bingsu samples got approved. I'm excited to see what Bingsu looks like on here.
Nice. Very nice. I had to pick up a mic for my wife the other day. So we swung by Osiris's place so I could try out those headphones and try out the keyboard and pick up some goodies. Crazy Boy 1179, are you still in chat? I do not want to answer that if you are no longer here. He asks, yes, evening gents, I'm planning to gift a keyboard to my friend. He says he wants tactile switches. His only experience is Cherry MX Blues. I know it's all about preference, but tactile switches, do you guys recommend? So blues are technically a clicky switch, which while tactile is very different. So if he likes the clickiness, I would personally recommend box whites or box pale blues. He wants tactile. So yeah, so I would I'd go the route of picking up some Zelio V2s.
Yeah, get him some Zelio V2s. Probably get him maybe something a little bit lighter so he's not as aggressive for his fingers.
67, 65, I would go in that range.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think if you went full 78, he might be like, dude, what the hell?
What the hell? If you're looking for something as just like a difference, if you can find blueberries, I think blueberries, those are going to be a lot heavier, but I've really enjoyed those tactility. Holy Pandas, if you can find some already made like on Mech Market, that might be a really good option. If you are confident in making Holy Pandas and potentially lubing them. But Zelio V2s, I think, are some of the few switches that you can just buy and throw on a board and be super happy.
Yeah, and I see, and people are talking about doing the drop Holy Pandas, which that is an option, but you got to wait a while. So I don't know if you're planning on getting it to them pretty soon. I don't think the drop Pandas are like in stock. I don't think they're shipping like the same week. I think it's like it's another run where you got to wait.
Pre-order, yeah.
But I would say,
Have
not tried that, but I would say either that or maybe if you want to maybe save a little bit of money, get like a T1 variant of some sort, one of those options. But just know if you're going to do that, you're probably going to want to also get some films and lube for those. And really, honestly, Zelio V2s are probably going to be a little bit better of an overall, or they're going to be a better overall switch. Yeah. So, personally, I think
that is I think Zelio V2 just, and Zelios in general, just kind of knock it out of the park of just like open up, throw it on a board, and you're happy. I think that's like if there is a switch that I had to be forced to use without being able to open it up, it would be a 78 gram Zelio V2.
Yeah, absolutely. And they, even unlubed, they feel great, and they do break in really well too. Chewy and I are not a fan of tangerines, like at all.
I haven't tried the second ones, but here's the problem with linear switches. Most linear switches don't come with heavy springs, this heavy type of springs that I like. So even if I don't have to lube them, I still have to spring swap. So now that's preference.
True.
But I'm sure that the tangerines that are out now, I probably would be more okay with. But at the end of the day, I know the housing, it's probably just going to feel like an ink. And while I enjoy how smooth inks are, I don't think inks sound that great. So,
Yep. Exactly. And I feel like when you get to a certain point, like, because switches are so good right now too, that you get to a certain point where it stops being as much about the way that the switch feels and it's a lot about the sounds, especially with linears. I think that's really the main reason why we both like creams a lot, the linear side, because they just sound more along the lines of what we prefer
yeah.
switches to sound. And then as far as convincing your girlfriend that MX blues are bad, show her like a click bar switch, like
Box whites.
yeah, box whites, or you really want to piss her off, give her some box navies.
She hasn't used it in a while, but my wife has a box jade build that it's fun to type on. When you want that like just loud board, it's fun to type on. I've got her on. I don't have her on. That sounds bad. She is using Zycos for a board that I built for her, but she prefers Zycos, I think, more than anything. But she really likes box jades a lot. She likes that like heavy click, but not like hurt your fingers heavy. Creams, 68 gram springs, really like them. Very nice. Cream sounds so good.
Really do. They really do. And box switches overall, is like we've said over the past little over a year now, they're underrated. There's a lot of good options from the box variants. Get you some really good feeling and sounding switches. They are a little bit more of a pain to work with in terms of like lubing them is very tough, but they do feel and sound great in stock.
Mm-hmm. So, before we get into it today, a quick shout out to our sponsors and partners. So we've got some awesome sponsors. Switchmod.net/Mechs on deck. Get you 4% off the lube that you're going to dunk those wires deep into. So be sure to pick up on that. And not Zap Cables, Dixie Mech. You can go to mechsondeck.dixiemech.com. Pick up some GMK Redacted Moto Round 2 coming up next month. Project keyboards. You can go to mechsondeck.project.link. I believe Masterpiece is still going on. GMK Masterpiece, fantastic looking set. That blue I think is really going to pop. Go to cannykeys.com/mechs on deck. Pick up GMK Deep Navy. Fantastic looking, simple, modern set. And then our awesome partners, Zap Cables. We just think that he makes the best cables in the business. Type Beast, you can go to typebea.st to check out that newsletter. He does a fantastic newsletter. He gave a great interview last week. I've spoken with him over Discord, but we were talking after, and I was like, we haven't just sat down and talked for like 2 hours straight, and it was very enjoyable. And then Smith and Rune. So be on the lookout for some Iron 165 extras. As I typed on it, I get it.
Yeah, it's good.
I get it. If only it was in an acceptable layout for me.
It's funny. I was telling some people last week, and I was talking about how, in the way, obviously, a big thing when they were both released, right, was Bauer versus Iron 165, because they were within a couple weeks of each other in terms of the buy, and I definitely built them in completely different ways. But I like to think that my Bauer is like the refined, very elegant board. It's nice and clean. It's got the mauves in it with 8008, and it's palm plate, and it's just nice, and it's not really loud. and it's got, those nice subtle curves to it. Whereas the iron is a little bit it's a little bit sharper, a little bit harsher on the angles. It's got the brass plate with the Zykos. It's the more aggressive. It's gonna punch you in the face.
The industrial.
Yeah.
It's got that industrial look to it. It's
Two
different
very
strokes,
different
different folks, man.
It's funny because if you think about it, Smith and Rune, well, Vox Key is a big tactile guy. Loves himself some tactile boards, so I built the iron like a tactile board. But the Bauer, Dixie, he loves himself some linears. Built it linear just for him. Well, for me, but
yeah. For him in spirit.
In spirit.
You got to get that. You got to get that invite to the yacht somehow.
Hey.
But no. So yeah, we got those guys. Be sure to click those links. I know that the lilacs and mobs are just like gone right now, but I'm sure there's some PCBs left at Cannon Keys. Excited to try out the what's it called? The Instant 60 and the ANSI are still very much in stock. So if you're looking for a 60% PCB, highly recommend. So check out the Cannon Keys link if you need. I've used the ANSI. I think it's one of the best PCBs out. It's 60%, pretty 90. Most of the time it's fucking readily available, and it's VIA.
Yeah, VIA compatible, and
it's not Swiss cheese. Like
$45 too. Pretty good.
It's a solid price. And I will give you my thoughts on the Instant 60, but it's just a hot swap version of the ANSI. So be sure to check that out. So this week has been, we're slowly starting to see group buys pick up. I feel like we've seen more interest checks. The hobby is kind of resetting some, I feel. Very excited. The Tend got announced. It's a board that I'm extremely excited to be looking more into. I was even having a discussion with someone today. I was like, Tend, might make me want to not really necessarily use my Fiel anymore. Like,
really?
Yeah, it's like if it sounds that I trust Mechanisk.
Yeah,
I trust.
You're kind of a fanboy at this point. It's okay.
I am.
You can
I absolutely am. And when you and that's kind of like with Smith and Rune. I've tried the Iron One. I haven't built it, but I've tried it, and I'm like, I trust you. I trust Osiris. If he says something's great, I know him. I know what he likes and dislikes. I know he wouldn't lie to me and say, "Oh, it's this," or if there was something wrong, he would tell me. Or if he plugs a USB in backwards, he understands that PCBs sometimes don't exactly work when you don't.
To
plug
be
them in
fair,
correctly.
I did not plug it in backwards. I accidentally flipped the PCB to the boot mapper function, which means it doesn't work when you do that. So there's a little switch. You got to turn it to the other way, and then it's like, oh hey, now I work. Now I'm not trying to change layouts.
But yeah, so it's. I think that this is something that should start growing more with people is trusting designers. I trust, and you already do, right? Keycolt. But a big part of why you like Keycolt is because, well, it's super hard to get. Everybody loves them. Everybody says they're amazing. But when it comes to like, oh, well, I haven't really seen proof of concept yet. I trust Mechanisk. He's been working on this board for a long time. Whenever he announced the Fiel this time last year, he was like, "Hey, I'm working on a gasket mounted Fiel." It was literally called gasket mount Fiel.
Yeah, because it's been through like a couple different name changes, wasn't it? Like the Fiel Pro for a little bit too.
Yeah, and then Fiel Pro, and then they were like, "Oh, we'll name it the Tend." And so it's just one of those boards, and I'm like, I trust it. I'm probably going to get it. I know I'm going to love it. I hope I can get it. I think there's only 100 spots, so leaves me, my chances are not the worst, but they're not the best either. So we'll might have to call on some luck for that one. but that's coming up soon. I'm very, very excited for that. Lots of keycap group buys. Those are still staying pretty strong, although I feel like some people kind of took some back seats of avoiding, but now we've got, I think Novel Keys was running like 3 sets.
Yeah, I
So
mean
yeah, they're
they're
running Classic Blue, Cat Arctic, and JTK Zen.
yeah.
So, we're seeing a lot of growth.
Yeah, things are coming back just like in the world. It seems like things are kind of coming back a little bit. I know I have quite a few friends that are maybe being a little bit more
Gung ho.
gung ho than others. I know I've got some, with it being Memorial Day weekend, there's quite a few people I know that are out and at like lakes and stuff where I'm like, that's a little bit much. They're posting pictures and stories on the social medias. And I'm like, that's a lot of people for being in a global pandemic where everything was shut down like 3 weeks ago. But okay.
Make smart choices.
Yeah.
Make smart choices. Memorial Day is just supposed to be about like eating some good food. Maybe just eat some good food. Maybe don't go get in a crowd of 300 people. We're not going to get too political.
I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do.
You absolutely don't have to do anything. But given the option between doing nothing and doing something, choose nothing.
No, it's one of those things that's like, go out if you have to. You want to maybe hang out with some friends you haven't seen in a little bit, maybe do that, but try to keep it clean, keep it safe.
Just be smart.
Be smart.
Be smart.
But no, things are opening up, and there's a lot of interest checks that are coming out. There's some group buys starting here in a couple days, actually. One that got a ton of upvotes on Reddit, a picture of a board. The Kajal, I think.
Yeah, Kajal.
It's the 45% with the knob. People
like their knobs, man.
Things open in June 1st, and it looks pretty cool. If I was into 45%, that'd be one that I'd be eyeing.
If I had a 40s kit, I might even go for it, but I'm pretty sure the 10. I try not to board, but I don't buy a board every month, but I also try not to like especially buy 2 boards in 1 month.
Yeah, true.
So
yeah, I feel like try to keep my boards purchases to like once every like 3 months or so, like once a quarter. But yeah, the Kajal it's pretty freaking sexy looking, and those colors, man, the red, the blue with the gold, or the brass knob. I don't know exactly what the materials are for the knobs, but I would imagine it's probably brass. But it looks pretty freaking nice, and that's opening up. So I just wanted to touch on that. It was a little bit pricey though, $400.
400 for a 45%. I mean, he just fell again.
You know what? He's just gonna enjoy being face down.
I might have to find a new Funko to go there. But yeah, Ortho Staggered is nice. So Rob27 Shred does bring up a good point. I do think rotary encoders are kind of pointless. The obvious option is like, or there's 2, is scroll, which I guess if you're using a mouse that doesn't have a scroll wheel,
or if the scroll wheel sucks,
or if the scroll wheel sucks, who knows? You could do that, but then the main one that you think of is volume, and I'm like, is it that important that I need to have a volume knob? I have 2 different ways in reaching distance, actually 3, because I also have volume on my keyboard. 3 different ways to turn volume up and down on my computer. I don't need a 4th. We actually got a little heat for this because people think that we are huge supporters of the Satisfaction 75. No.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great board. It's a great board, but I don't think we were ever really like. There was one point where I was like, I might want it, but then I was like, I'm good.
I've never really wanted one because I'm not a huge fan of the screen. and then the knob, I don't care about the knob. The screen kind of meh. It was taken that way that I fucking loved it, but that's just because I wanted it to win, because I wanted my bracket to do well, and I thought it would win because people were trying to trade that board for a key cold. I think that hype has kind of slowed down some, and I know that it's going to be re-releasing soon. So, or this year, I should say, maybe not soon, but it's, that's a board that I just don't, the knob, I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to justify the fact that I bought a Nano that's got a little slider.
Does this slider work still?
It took me 3 hours to figure out how to get it to work. I got it to work, and then I was like, cool. And then I closed the program. I haven't even, ever since re-downloading Windows, I haven't even downloaded that program.
So the slider's
just there to fuck with.
Dude, you can just pretend you're cross-fading between songs when you change things on Spotify, because you know how Spotify has like the blend songs. You can just pretend like you're doing it.
I'm a DJ. Chewy coming at you 2024.
I think the key, what was the company? Is it Keywork?
Keywork.
Yeah, Keywork.
WERK.
Keywork Nano, not the coolest of products from last year.
It's, it wasn't.
Great idea.
In theory, it was fine. I use it.
You do.
The thing is, I do use it. Machinova helped me out. Shout out to Machinova. And I use it for OBS for whenever I do build stream. So like, it's not completely useless, but I would trade that in for a Stream Deck any day of the week.
Yeah.
It's because there's way more functionality out of it. I mean, it's kind of cool that I can be like, oh, I've got a macro pad that's got OG Holy Pandas in it, but like, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's one of the things I was like, because I have so when Chewy got his Bento Nano, he gave me the M6C that he had, or B. I don't remember which revision this is. I don't know. I would imagine
it's a B. It's not a C.
It's a B. Yeah,
it's not a C.
This thing has been plugged in once. It just sits on my desk and looks pretty with the artisans on it. Really.
Happy birthday.
I've contemplated. I've contemplated plugging it in. It has a nice case, so if I ever need to like take it somewhere, if I never need to travel, I can take this. But even then, it's like, this is heavier than the Stream Deck, so I don't know why I would take this, but I might.
One day you will find a good use for it.
It's true. That's true.
Day.
I feel like if I had a separate, like if I had I've contemplated, I have another desk in my room that's literally just sitting there. And I've contemplated like setting that up for my MacBook and maybe using like this to control like play pause stuff.
It's a good media. Like at the end of the day, it's good for media. It's fun. Use it at work. There's another good one.
I don't really want to take this to work though.
Yeah, artisans at work.
Yeah, so, it would be this like people at my work wouldn't take my keyboards or like keycaps, but I feel like the chances of them taking an artisan and being like, "Ooh, that looks cool," they would probably.
Well, and they could swipe that, throw it in their pocket, and you would never know the difference. Where it'd be a lot harder to snag a keyboard. But anyway, so we've got a little bit of spice today. It's kind of just rumblings. But it's more, it's something that I was washing green crap out of my hair today and thought of it. I've been hearing about this issue, and then I was kind of more of like, that's an interesting hypothetical. So the problem is we're starting to see KBD fans is making a questionable business decision. I think that's the best I can say that. So they are undervaluing what they are shipping out. So, if you go to UPS, you get to or USPS or whatever. You go to whoever you're using to ship. You get to do that fun conversation with them where they go, what are you shipping? And you say a keyboard. And then they say, how much do you want to declare it? And then you have to look them dead in the face and go $400.
Yeah.
And then they question you. And then you've done it so many times that the UPS people just guess it now. But yeah, so if I ship something, I've got we have Mechs on Deck is no stranger to our friends in the north. We do have to ship some stuff to Canada, and you have to declare a value on it because of tax reasons, imports, all that stuff that typically in America we don't really have to deal with. We're very fortunate that we don't have to deal with, but there are a lot of countries that do. And those numbers need to be correct. And I've been told by multiple people, obviously I've not had to deal with this because one, I haven't bought anything from KBD fans in a long time. But two, I don't really have to ever deal with this. I know Alex Odos gets a lot of stuff from KBD fans, and you have to pay taxes on that. You have to pay import taxes. And if those numbers are wrong, then technically you're doing something wrong. Now, you're not really going to get blamed for it, but that does raise the question of like, if you're ever wondering why is KBD fans shipping so cheap, like, there's your answer.
Yeah, and so Rob Tread touches on it. So basically, because KBD fans is undervaluing their packages, it's causing issues. The other piece that can be an issue there is if, say you bought something like a KBD 67 Mark II, right? A $300 to $400 dollar board, and then all of a sudden it gets lost in shipping or it's declared as shipping damages. Now, I'm not saying that KBD fans would do this, but KBD fans very well could be like, no, it's on the shipping people. And then you only get the declared value is what the package is considered to be worth. So you end up only getting like $50 when you paid $350. And that's why those declared values are really important, especially like here in America. If I go to UPS and I try to ship like the Bauer, right, that I shipped to the winner of Mech Madness, the LTT Bauer. Told him it was worth like $1,500 because I was like, this is a one of one. And it does cost more for shipping then, but it's one of those things, if that gets lost, you want it to be enough to where that person can replace that. That they can, whether or not they can actually get the same thing, you want it to be able to where they can actually replace that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it brings up a lot of issues. That companies shouldn't be really making those mistakes. So the other issue there is like, okay, so what I brought up to myself was, what if this was enough to raise shipping a whole lot? Is KBD fans now not seen as the most viable option? And so Zurkowski brought up kind of a funny joke, but it actually is just kind of a changing of the times. I have a huge order history from KBD fans. I have nothing against KBD fans, but when Osiris and I started, that was really the only place to get stuff that wasn't. So you could get switches from Novel Keys, you could join a group buy, or you could get stuff from KBD fans. Like, there really wasn't much else that you could do. And so, it's great. I don't have to wait, 3 weeks for a PCB because there are American vendors that have PCBs now. And it's just kind of a change of the times. Like, I have nothing personally against KBD fans. I personally don't buy their stuff because I have other things that I think are, on par or more or better quality than some of their other things. Like, I don't need another tray mount board. All their 60% boards are tray mount. Don't need one. Yeah. And then they're releasing a Tofu and an HHKB. Don't like HHKB. Yeah. I do like the Tina V2.
I think so. Zurkowski So, well, one, you could check out our sponsors, which are all filled with companies that are here in North America that you can support. Not saying anything against supporting KBD fans. You appreciate what they do for this community, but I think there's also a shift. Like once you get past the, I need a board right now, and you're on to the like, I have some and I'm
Yeah.
waiting for group buys. That's when you kind of shift from the like, okay, I need to buy from KBD fans.
Yeah.
Um,
When you
but
have some stuff available to
as
you.
as far as out of stock, specifically boards, yes, right? Like the only thing that like KBD fans has out of stock, or the only thing like Canon keys, you can get like a practice 65 or one of their ortho ones or a practice 60, but they do have PCBs in stock, right? Which is a better PCB than most of the offerings from KBD fans, in my opinion.
Can
Um,
confirm.
Switches you can get from Novel Keys, stabs you can get from tons of different places, lube you can get from Switch Mod, you can sometimes get it from Project Keyboard, key sets. If you if you're wanting something specific, you might have to wait for it.
Yeah.
But the thing is now you even have to like wait for KBD fans. It's not like their stuff is always in stock if you're wanting a specific product. KBD 67 Mark II sold out in what, like 20 minutes or something?
If that. Yeah, it was crazy. Um, and it's a sign of the times that things are better now. Though
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's the big thing that always got to me was PCBs. I was always pissed off that I would ruin a DZ60 because the DZ60 was just not that great of a PCB.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I had to order, I would have to order them in like I would have to spend like $140 because I was like, I'm gonna hit that margin or what. It was like $100 or something for free shipping, and I literally would just spend $100 on PCBs so I could get the faster shipping, um, and wouldn't have to just keep ordering PCBs. And it drove me crazy that I had to get PCBs from them. Um, Novel Keys. I got my switches from Novel Keys, and then I got my stabs from Novel Keys, and then I got my PCB from KVD fans and my board from KVD fans. Or when you want to go on Mech Market, that's the other thing too. Is you go to Mech Market and someone goes, I've got a Fiel I'm selling for $300 or $500, case only, no PCB. And you're like, oh, okay, well then now I have to go find a PCB. Now I don't have to spend $65 on a $30 PCB and wait 2 weeks to get it. So one thing that they do have, but also one-up keyboards, which I don't think gets enough love, is plates. They do have good plate options, but one-up keyboards has been closed for a while because of COVID. So
Yeah, and One Up Keyboards does have good stuff. They've always had PCBs. The only problem there is a lot of their PCBs are the north-facing LEDs, but they do have tons of stuff there as well, which is also really fast shipping here in North America. So, but yes, like Chewy said, they are kind of not really shipping things currently.
they're not allowed to be open right now, which stinks because I really hope that they can continue. I think we have a lot of sponsors, but I think What Up Keyboards is one of my favorite places because honestly, because uh, you can get Zelios for free shipping, so you don't have to pay the $15 to America shipping. While now, I mean, literally, you blink and think about ordering from Zeal, and it's already shipped and at your door, like 18 hours later. I'm willing to wait 2 extra days to save $15. That's an extra 10 switches. So
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And I know Gio was talking about custom fees, and I wonder if now, because like it became more of an issue with DHL, if KBD fans will become less of an option for people who are in those other countries where they have to pay those fees upon receipt. Um, to get their products. Because, if you're paying 20% in your currency of the converted value for something, like say you're in Canada, right? Like it's 20% custom fee. Is it really worth it to maybe get a, KBD 67 Mark II, right? Or
Yeah.
should you just wait? Like if that takes it from one price bracket to another just on that custom fee, is it worth it just to say, okay, well, I'll just wait another couple weeks and I'll get something from, maybe I'll get a Tend, maybe I'll get something else, or get something here in North America where maybe it's, you might still have to pay those fees, but maybe you're getting something that's like, not that the KBD fans boards are bad, but maybe something that's a little bit better, or maybe a little bit more bespoke. I don't like using that word, but I think it's fitting. So
yeah, it's how does Anubis always chill in your room with you? He's a good dog.
He's just a chill pup.
Yeah, DD Decline. I agree. I mean, I would love to see it. I know, Canon Keys and Project Keyboards are both trying to keep in stock boards. I know Novel Keys. I think Novel Keys is still the closest company to being able to be a American KBD fans. They're trying to do big stuff with the NK65. He's got awesome switches. Doesn't really carry PCBs and plates. I think that's one thing that he could look into, but it's just one of those, like, it's cheaper, right? You have to. It's going to cost a lot more money to make a plate over here. It's going to cost way more money to make PCBs. Or if you do get them made, they're going to be more expensive because you have to pay that money to ship them in a giant crate to the person.
Yeah.
What did you say was the other that was trying to keep in stock besides Candy? Project Keyboard's trying to keep like the Sirius in stock.
Yeah. So. Which is a fantastic board, especially for the money. Because that's a huge option. And I know that they're kind of hindered. Everything is kind of hindered right now, and I know Rob touched on this as well. When things go back to normal, more things will be in stock, or at least people are going to be working more towards that. I know both Canon Keys and Project Keyboard are trying to get to more of that point where they can have more things in stock so people can purchase it and get it that next week or get that couple weeks later. It is hard for the people to catch up to KBD fans, for the vendors here in America, but it's one of those things. I know personally, like, I will pay, like, if it's an additional $30 to buy it from someone, buy it from like an American company and buy it here, I'll buy it. I'll pay that extra $30. I'll wait an extra 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get it and have it here. There's a lot of people who are like, no, I want the most cost effective option or the best bang for the buck option. And also I think at this point too, like, we're friends with a lot of the vendors too, which kind of does change that. But we want to support the people who build up the industry here in our country.
Yeah. Well, that, I mean, at the end of the day, this isn't a I'm sponsored thing. This is the ANSI is just a better PCB than the DZ60.
Yeah, it is.
Like, just hands down. Unless you're into the crazy bottom rows, that's totally fine. That's for you, not for me. But when it comes to a Sangen layout keyboard,
what noodle?
Yeah, what noodle? Pretty much. Disco Crocodile, what's up, man? I was talking to Osiris about your crispy stream today. And yeah, I'm excited. I've gotten on Instant 60. I'm excited to, one, have a tester board again. But two, get to use that. So I'm excited to try it, because I'm sure it's just as good as the ANSI.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too. It's like, everyone knew that the best 60% PCB before the ANSI was the Zeal 60. It's just not made anymore.
Yep.
So,
which totally fine PCB, but hard to get and absolutely not worth 3 times the price. And I would say arguably the ANSI is just as good. It just does not offer in switch RGB.
yeah.
So.
And Zurkowski, the stuff from Project Keyboard, I mean, it depends on what you're looking at, but I mean, the Sirius is not 500.
Mm-hmm.
What was the Sirius?
Miss me with that Swiss cheese. We need a shirt.
Dude.
Disco Crocodile, that's your shirt, by the way. Miss me with that Swiss cheese.
Yeah, I mean, the Sirius was what? It's $325 for a Sirius plus a PCB,
which is like high end board.
It's one of the.
It's
I think
a
it's
solid fucking board.
I think that's probably the best board you can get for that price. One of the best, especially when it's in stock, and you have so many different options. Like once they, if he restocks different plate options, yeah, you can't get it right now. But that's one of the things about this hobby that sucks. Patience.
Yep.
Like, not Gio's been in the hobby for a long time, and I remember like 6 months ago, he was like, "Man, I just cannot wait for all of my boards to get here." You know, he had a J01 just sitting there waiting to get the plate and everything and the PCB and all sorted out, and then his Bauer and getting everything, and he's just like, "Man, I cannot wait." And it's one of the things about this hobby. You gotta be patient. And I think that's where KBD fans has thrived, is that they've made it to where people can be a little bit more impatient with their things because they can get it right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so to my name, paid for and everything, I think I have 10 boards. And 4 are built. 1 is sitting in a case in my closet that I'm building tomorrow. 1 is in the mail, and 4 more are in the process of getting made. So literally half of the stuff that I own is not here yet. It's part of it. And I'm counting. I'm not even counting the Lumina.
Yeah, well,
I mean, little flex, why not? And I mean, these are boards that, private buys, or, a board that like I've just been waiting on getting. The M0110 I'm counting because, yes, technically. And yeah, so Zurkowski, the answer is, well, I spent a bunch of money in July of 2018 and I still have not gotten that board. I didn't even count this, but I also spent a lot of money in September of 2018 and I don't have that board either. So some things just take time or will never come.
Now, granted, that's getting better. Like most of the things, I haven't purchased anything that's like late or been super late in a long time. The only thing has really been the Lumina. Everything's been delivered either on time or within a reasonable amount of time. And I think that's really one of those things. It's like, Zurkowski, you said you got your Tofu 65. Don't feel like you need to be in a rush to get something better. Tofu 65 is a good board. Like,
solid board. I have a problem. I'm willing to admit it. Here's the timeline of this, the board that I'm probably most excited about. I got a KBD 8X Mark II because I basically traded Olivia, the original Olivia group buy, and some artisans to a friend, and I said, I will trade you this for a KBD 8X Mark II. And then I got that in, and then a very good friend of mine was doing a private buy for a board, and it was a TKL, and I was like, I'd rather have that than the KBD 8X. So I sold my KBD 8X and I bought that, and it's been it got delayed because of COVID, but in January I didn't think the world was shutting down. So but I know him. I've bought boards from him from his buys before. I know it's gonna happen. Like the world shutting down slows stuff down. So
Yeah.
uh,
COVID shipping is pretty brutal right now. But yeah, I think I'm interested back on the topic of the KBD fans shipping thing. I will be interested to see what the ripple effects of this are and if it does change the pricing of said shipping, like what you said, or will it like because I think the fear there is like, what if DHL goes back and sees, because obviously they have logs of everything that they ship. That's why there are numbers for your tracking and everything. I would be interested to see if they go back and they look at all of it, and then it becomes a bigger issue. And like, what is the if DHL's like, we're gonna drop you, or you have to
100%.
pay us a bunch of money.
You want me to suffer? We did answer that question like right off the bat, Zurkowski.
Yeah, we did. I just tap it on the lube, the container of lube.
Yep.
It's like tap the wire.
Tommy Hong, I have been asked. I've said the name of it a few times, but I have been asked by the group buy runner to not say it yet. But I will be. I'm actually not building mine. I am me, you are you, and I both got in on the same board, and so we're actually going to be building each other's boards.
Should be interesting.
It'll be a fun. Are you
lubing?
Experience.
Are you lubing each other's switches?
No.
Okay.
I've lubed. I've got a box sitting that I'm going to send them because I've just got to send them a bunch of stuff. But I lubed creams with 89 gram springs from Novel Keys, lubed with 205 grade 0, and I'm shipping them off to him. Probably should see it maybe by the end of June. I don't know. I know they're wrapping up, but they got to anodizing and then they had to come to a standstill. But yeah, KBD fans, I mean, if this was a year ago, let's just say KBD fans can't continue business for a while, right? If this was a year ago, if this was 2 years ago, the hobby would die. It would be all group buys. It would be very, very hard to continue in the hobby.
Well, you'd have
the popularity. You would have some American vendors, but it would not be near. It would be about the same rate that it was a year and a half ago.
It would be one of those things you would have. The hobby would hit a standstill. I don't know if it would die. It would hit a standstill, but you wouldn't have the growth that we have seen in the hobby the last 2 years. Because KBD fans has always been the place for people who are newer to go, right? Like there are your KP Republics and stuff like that, and your AliExpresses where you can buy some items, but KBD fans has been the go-to to get a quality product for a low price.
Mm-hmm.
And if that was gone, it would be harder. But now, like you're saying, with things like the Kara from Rama and the NK65-2, the cheaper one, the injection molded one, it's going to really... This is all happening at a fantastic time for those things to come out and really kind of take off.
Yeah, it's, I have said before, and I will continue to say that I think I personally believe one of the most game-changing things in the entire hobby was the Tofu 60%. I think the Tofu made metal boards at $80 or $88 or whatever. It made buying custom keyboards that looked like a Clippa, which was a high-end board at the time. Now it's kind of shifted to the inexpensive option. But the Tofu is in part huge in this community, probably underrated by a lot of people. Like, I mean, yes, things like VIA and QMK are huge, But for the overall like growth of the community, being able to buy a tofu for that and limit, and they made so many, you can still get them. There's a tofu. I think the E green is still up there. It's a little bit more expensive because it's an E coating, but without that, I don't see the community growing as fast. I think it would still. I don't think the tofu really changed the whole world of like, oh, it wouldn't be where it is today. But I do think it brought in a shit ton of people.
It made it more accessible, right?
Yeah.
Like it made it more accessible to a community of people who maybe it's an easier transition to go from a Corsair or Logitech board or a Ducky board into a tofu from a financial position. Like it's easier to swallow that jump in price.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas something like if you go straight to something like an Iron or a Bauer, even a TX board where they're $400, $500, $600 for just a case and plate and PCB, that's a huge jump. And so that's been the big importance of the tofu as well, and KBD fans as a whole, because of the 5 degree before that. I'm also interested to see what happens with if there is a downtick in KBD fans, if they do have to, maybe cease shipping for a little bit and figure things out or renegotiate whatever contracts, whatever things that they have going on with their shipping partners. I'm interested to see if like Drop also comes in and maybe carries some other options, because that's another place I know they just had the Alt and the what's the other one? Control, right? And Control and Alt, they just released those in black, which are still a great option at the price point. Hot swap board for like $200 with basically all you need is
Caps, switches, and I mean it's literally
everything. Yeah,
$220. Yeah, it's like $220 for an Alt. I think the control is like $240. I might be wrong with this. I think that's the high profile too, but like that's still a solid board for just pop it open. That's not too much more than some of these super high end box brands like the Corsair Platinum, the K95 Platinum. That's like a $200 keyboard,
and it's fucking huge.
Yeah, and it's
it's like a whale on your desk.
Kimchi Jody boy, I'll get to your question in a second. I did miss we missed it's Max bro. It's Max bro. I will answer your question in a minute. I just want to confirm that you are here. I'm sorry that we didn't get to it, but it's Max bro asks, have you talked about the popularity of the Alice layout? It's a great layout.
It's one of those things I feel like everyone should try it.
Yep.
Try it, see if you like it. A lot of people do enjoy it. It makes Chewy type the way some people would say is correct. But yeah,
I type in a way where what I want to be written on the screen shows up. Alice layout, it's great. Gaming on the Alice can be tricky. I wouldn't play like competitive Counter-Strike with an Alice.
I don't get how, like, again, I watch Nathan. I still don't understand how he plays on not only the Alice, but also the HHKB. My brain's just not wired to be able to do that. Granted, I know shift walking and crouching are not things that. So
hey, it's what I mean. I've gamed on it, but I gamed with I gamed on Gears 5 and played all the way through Gears 5 with it. The OSA is my work board. Typically, is the board I bring into work, just because I know I'm not going to be gaming at work. And so it's just always been kind of the perma work board for me, because I know that I enjoy typing on it, and I personally sent an Alice acrylic board to a bunch of different people. We kind of did this, like, I called it the Sisterhood of the Traveling Keyboard, where I sent to like 5-6 different people, and just said, just try it. mail to the next person if you're okay with like this chain. Do that so that they can try it, because at the end of the day it's tough. It sucks that people, especially right now, you can't try anything, but it sucks that that's a layout that you need. You don't get the full experience of a like a meetup.
Yeah.
You need to sit down with it. um Osiris and I had a long discussion whenever we got invited to the OSA of like, should we get it? And we were like, yeah, because at the end of the day, we kind of were open about like, hey, we might like have you sell it to somebody else, but we kind of both knew we would probably enjoy it, and we really did. So, and it's a fantastic. I love typing on mine.
Yeah. I mean, mine's my workboard as well. Bean Lover 425. You can game on it. I think both the way that Chewy and I play video games doesn't work for us. I use my keyboard basically vertically. So that would, especially with the Alice, would require a very harsh change in the way that I position my hands and what I find comfortable while I'm playing video games.
Yeah.
Um,
Who else said? All right, I'll get to kimchi's in just a second. Yeah, but if you get the chance to get, I know SM Keyboards does. They do Alice layout boards. If you can find a PCB somewhere, go for it. But if you can find a if you can get on he has like little 40 run group buy spots, but basically it's a custom order. I know a good friend of ours just got one recently and is very excited for it. He was actually someone that I had sent my board to, and then he tried it and he fell in love with the board, and then he was like, okay, I got to figure out how to get one of these. And it's like it's and so luckily we were able to he found SM Keyboards, but it was just one of those things that's like it truly is strange how easy it is to go from like a 60% board to that like flawlessly.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I think, and his looks pretty. Like
oh
the
yeah,
aesthetics of it, looks awesome.
yeah.
That's the thing that's cool about the acrylic options is you can mix and match, you can get different colored, even down to the different colored tops, different colored bottoms, different color mid plates on it. You can get different color screws and options there. So and they're not super expensive. The only thing you gotta find is PCBs, but a lot of people have those options.
So I'm excited because I haven't even told you this, but I have an SM keyboard coming.
Go.
Got it a while ago. It's not an Alice. I got, but it should be here tomorrow.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna put my Instant 60 in it to try out I'll be building this in like 2 weeks because the PCB's got to come in, and I really want to build my Alice tomorrow. It is kind of funny because we only stream one build a week, and we go back and forth. So like it is oftentimes we're like, fuck, I gotta wait like 2 weeks before I can build this. But I mean, the PCB is not even here yet, but I'm excited because I picked some cool color options and some cool other options that hopefully I get to show off on stream tomorrow. It says it's supposed to be here tomorrow. Would have been here today, but Memorial Day. So very excited. Did y'all get on the Prophet? I did not personally.
Did not either, but I want to get to Kimchi's question here. We've been stalling out on it a little bit. So he says, what do you guys think of a board like the Tofu NK65, KBD65, all these entry-level boards bringing new builders into the community, but simultaneously increasing the overall competition for consumers in the hobby? I think it is great. I think whenever you have the things at the bottom end get better. I was actually talking about this something similar with Quakems from Top Clack last night, as well as a couple other people. We were talking about the Polaris and the M65A, right? Those were two boards that were a lot of people forget those are two boards that were manufactured to be bang for your buck, like the best you can get for the lowest cost. A lot of people forget that the M65A was like $275 at group.
Yeah.
Okay, it was like $225 for a base kit, $275 for the aluminum bottom. I think whenever you can get a higher level of quality from that lower price point, it shifts everything else down. It makes everyone else have to get better to justify their price point, right? Things are going to have to get tighter tolerances. Things are going to have to be, in a better color. They're not going to be able to have any kind of anodizing issue. QC is going to have to get better in order to keep justifying their price. So it's one of those things. Every time someone innovates on the bottom end and makes it better and gets that quality at a lower price point, it ripples to every level of keyboards in this hobby.
Yeah, hands down. It's crazy. I had my reasons for not getting a Polaris. I kind of regret it. Although with the problems in their group buy right now, that's another story. But yeah, I mean, when the bottom gets better, the top has to start outperforming as well. You see stuff like we talked about Mechanisk. The Clippa used to be a $200 keyboard, just the case.
Yep. Perfect example.
It's no longer that. He, instead of getting rid of it, he lowered the price of it, and now you can get a Clippa, and a better version of the Clippa.
I was going to say he did innovate the design of the Clippa to change it to where it was a better design. It had more options.
So now you can spend a little bit more for arguably a better. So because the clear argument was, why would you buy a Clippa when the Tofu is the exact same board? And it's like, well, the anodizing is better on the Clippa. I'm like, but not much. It's more like you can get you're going to get something good. You're probably going to get something good with KVD. You're going to get something good with Clippa. So that's what you're paying that extra money for. But then now he was like, I'll just innovate and make the Clippa better. And so now it's like, no, I would tell someone to go get a Clippa before getting a Tofu, because you can try out different mounting styles with different mounting points. So yeah, it's just one of those. That's another one of those things that I think Mechanisk is doing a great job, kind of hitting both now. He's going for the higher end and the lower end at the same time. So it's fantastic when people start basically competing to make cooler stuff at a cheaper price.
Yeah, and I love that plastic boards too, with like the Kara and the N65. The plastics are getting better, and I think that's a lot of that is the Sirius was a very well received board last year, and a lot of people are trying to venture more into plastics. I think it's really a great option because it can make an injection molded plastic. You put it in a colored plastic like the purple or any of the other colors they end up doing. It looks really cool. Everyone knows the coolest looking Game Boys were the ones that you could see through that were a colored plastic. Same thing.
Specifically the purple ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carol B. I'm just excited to see. I'm excited to be able to tell people, like, you don't have to spend all this crazy money on a keyboard.
Yeah.
You can get in on this awesome like this hobby has completely changed Osiris and I's lives, not only with just something cool to do, but getting in this hobby, buying these cool things and meeting these awesome people. It's just been, this is a hobby that has given back way more than I have put into it. And then while you don't have to sit here and talk to everybody about it, at the end of the day, at least you're going to get a better keyboard than 90% of the people you work with. So
it's true. And hey, the thing is, everything like doesn't lose money, which is still blows my mind. You're going to get your money back, and maybe you'll make a little bit.
If not positive. Someone DD Decline asked, what plate material did you get? It's a secret. I'll tell you tomorrow. Let's see what else we got.
With the low end
Yeah.
getting better, do you think the high end will need to kick it up even more, like TGR shipping boot mapper? I think absolutely. I know a lot of people are still kind of like, I can't believe that TGR is still shipping a boot mapper PCB in 2020.
I think, honestly, I think TGR, they're a solid company. But I think it has been proven in the last year and a half that TGR is kind of just another company now. I'm sorry, I'll say it. I'll fucking make a statement right now. The KBD Mark II 67, outside of density of just like how heavy and compact it is basically a 910. They feel the exact same. It's the same mounting style. They're basically the same size.
Yeah, I think it's one of those.
Yeah, the anodization is a little bit better. The PCB on the KBD Mark II is way better. I know it's an old board. I get
Yeah.
that. They're still regarded as these super high-end boards. I'm like, a board, one of the most important parts of the board, if not the most important, is PCB because that's what connects you to your computer.
It's one of those things. It's like, I think what you're saying can be seen as a hot take, but I don't think it is, because it's not like TGR hasn't really put themselves in a position to create a counter argument to it, because the 910 hasn't come back, right? Like, they haven't redone the 910. You know, the Jane V2 CE, like people are saying, they shipped it with a boot mapper PCB, which for a lot of people kind of are like, really? Come on. You've got everyone else is shipping with a awesome PCB, whether, you know, that supports VIA, that is easy to use, doesn't have to be ported in. You know, I think TGR has a place in a lot of people in this community's hearts, and I think they can come back from that. Like, not that they're down. I don't think they'll ever be down, because people are still going to be hyped for it.
It's just going to become OTD. These OTD boards,
but I think
there are a certain amount of people that love going after them.
I think TGR is like 2 steps away from being like the same level that they were considered 2 years ago.
In my opinion, and not nothing but respect, they make very high quality cases.
Yeah.
Check the wording on that. They make high quality cases. But in my opinion, the best thing TGR ever did was make the Alice popular.
Very true.
After that, they have not done anything noteworthy other than putting their logo on a TKL. But after the Alice, they have not done anything noteworthy. KBD fans has done way better stuff than anything TGR has done since the Alice came out.
As far as like innovating, I wouldn't say that like
innovating and like,
yeah.
But even then, KBD 8X Mark II came with a better PCB.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, having built the 910, I will say I was disappointed, but I also was building it with a PCB that was a third-party PCB with a plate that was a 3 plate, but it doesn't stand up at all to the iron or the Bauer, like, at all.
Yeah, and I mean, it's different.
It's completely different world, and that's like the difference.
But yeah.
Well, it's also like 2017 versus late 2019, early 2020 boards, you know?
So, you know, but it triggers me when I see people talking about how TGR and Keycolt. I've even talked about it, but I'm talking about it because it's like, well, those are the two. No, it's just, to me, Keycolt's just kind of up there on top by himself.
Well, and I think it's one of those things, I think, you know, TGR is not trying to be up there, right? Like, they're not making efforts to do that. Like, he's just doing his thing. Sam's just doing his thing, right? Like, he does what he wants when he wants, right? It's always going to sell out, and it's always going to be highly regarded in the community. It's kind of like a legend at this point. You know, he made the Alice style layout, that split style layout, super popular. He made in a sense, for a lot of people, polycarb popular. The 910 was a board that when it came out in polycarb, people went crazy for it, and that was like one of the first ones that really kind of put polycarb on the map. So I can't imagine that won't happen again. It might happen in a different capacity. Um, but I definitely agree with you. It's and with what Brez just said.
Yeah,
TGR's hobby, Key Cult is a business. Key Cult is trying to innovate, and they are trying to be a pillar in the community, and they are doing it for the love of keyboards. And not that Sam and TGR is not, but they are just have different outlooks on where they want to take their businesses, which is completely fine. But it's not this. They're not one and one. It's not like last year they were around this time, or even early last year. They were kind of like a lot closer. Things were kind of similar. Then the number 2 came out, and then they redid the number 1, and it just like the gap's widening and widening.
Yeah. And TGR is always going to have that cult following. But I think the more people that get in, I think people are going to start saying less and less about these TGR boards, and it will kind of that unless TGR comes out with a bunch of crazy stuff, that circle will get a lot smaller because there will be less people that care about TGR quality when you're seeing stuff. We haven't talked about this yet. Key Cult, huge announcement. Like what was it, like 300 or 600 number ones that they're releasing?
I can't remember exactly, but it's a ton.
It's a shit ton of number 1 TKLs. It's gonna be great. I know some people 300 pre-orders, 300 extras.
Yeah,
600 boards, which that's huge.
Yeah,
they're still gonna sell out in like 10 seconds.
Well, I mean, they'll do raffle. They're not going to do open.
Yeah. Well, they do. I think they're doing like a combo, or I guess they are doing. It's like the raffle opens for like.
Also, just want to let people know right now, it's up to 600. So basically, the way they order is they order 300 pre-orders, and then 300 they order double what they need, and then if like things come in and they're not good, they don't sell the really not good ones, and they sell some of the ones that are okay as B stock.
Yeah.
So that's why it says up to. So it's not guaranteed to be 600. Just want to clarify.
Yeah. Zerkowski asks, should I get holy pandas or alpacas for sound? Those are two very different switches because you have tactile versus linear. I think holy pandas, in my opinion, sound better than alpacas, but they both sound fine. I just think holy panda has a slight edge to it.
Yeah, I mean, those are like
they're both solid sounds.
Worlds of difference. Yeah, they sound good.
It's basically, do you want a tactile switch or a linear switch? I would say those would be your two good options. I think instead of alpacas, you should go for creams, in my opinion, if you want something that sounds better. So, with how much Alice style layout took off and was adopted, it seems the hobby is a lot more amenable to the non-traditional layouts than I think most people believed. Do you think the barrier between Alice and actual split keyboards is having two pieces, the hype of TGR, or something else? Combo the factors. DDD Klein, I think people are starting to branch out. I think that's kind of the real thing. Is I'm kind of if I'm kind of tempted to get a Kendo. The Kendo is a cool board. It looks unique. The reason I probably won't is because it's like an HHKB layout.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, I'm probably not going to get it because I'm not going to game with it. But it's making me think like, oh, well, if I like this, I might like this. And if I like this, I might like this. So it's just one of those like, screw it. This hobby is people who have more money to spend on things they might not need as much. And so you're this hobby is targeting a lot of people that might be willing to take that risk.
Yeah, I think people will get into it. I think people will kind of branch out a little bit. I think once you start, because like realistically, Alice is just a 60%. That's just like it in half, right? And then you just add, if you actually split it in half, once you start getting into things like ergodox and um, ortholinear and 40, 50, and 45% boards, that's when I think you kind of lose a lot of people, just because, like what Chewy said, he doesn't have any kits that support it, right? Like I don't have any kits that support those style of boards, like 40s kits or anything. So I think that was the big thing about the Alice, is that it was reasonably supported in a base kit of a GMK set.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you would have to use shifts for your space bars unless you had the spacebar kit, but even then, you're still supported by a base GMK set.
Mm-hmm.
So, Zerkowski, what did you mean? Did Sirius come in group buy? They did have a group buy for it.
It was initially a group buy, yes.
Yeah, they had a group buy for it last year around this time, and then it shipped in like late summer, early. I can't remember. But,
it shipped. I mean, it shipped before November, so.
Yep. And then as far as my iron comparing to my Bauer, they are built completely different. I don't think it's not easily justifiable to compare the two when one has a brass plate with Zyko's, an extremely tactile switch, and the other one has a palm plate with a linear switch. So I like them both.
I might have a little insight into this because I have tried now a brass Zyko board with a Bauer and a brass Iron 165. You are splitting hairs.
Yeah.
You are splitting hairs. I mean, if I said one was better than the other, that's just because someone's making me choose. And at that point, it's like, which one do you like the look of better? They're both amazing boards.
Yeah, I was going to say the differences there are going to be more in what do you aesthetically prefer. And like the only major difference from the way that they like type is the fact that the iron has a slightly more aggressive typing angle, whereas the Bauer is a little bit more of a flat angle.
Yeah.
So other than that, it's like, do you want something that's a little bit more of, straighter lines, things that are going to be a little bit harsher lines? That's the iron. The Bauer is going to be a little bit more curvy, a little bit more. It's got wider angles around, wider curves. So
waters versus rocks.
Yeah.
Like it's just fluid versus tough. It's typing feel. They're both amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's just one of those things. Like I that comparison is going to continue to be brought up, and I'm like, man, you're literally like it's not like you would be unhappy getting one of them.
Yeah, and the builds are both great. Like one uses a Wilba PCB, the other one uses a Cannon Keys PCB. Both are great PCBs.
Yep.
Like both use daughter boards. The JST connector for the Bauer is a little bit nicer, but you're never going to see that once you put it together. So does it really matter? Not really.
And it's not like it's going to be bad. So, I've been meaning to talk about this. I'll probably talk about this more tomorrow. More info on what my ideal timeline is for the Squid 60. For those who don't know, I ran the Bacchus 60 last fall. I ran the Bacchus 60. I know most people that have it enjoy it. If they didn't enjoy it, they sold it to someone, and then that person really enjoyed it. So, more info on that coming soon. Like I said, I would love to get it this summer going, at least the group buy. It will be an open group buy. I don't know the full details yet, but it will be open. It will be at minimum 40 units available. It's going to be a fun boy. Check out the build stream tomorrow, and I will go in detail about all my plans for that. So
Got to put together an IC. It'd be interesting.
I do need to put together, and I'm gonna look no further than Mr. Drifting Bunnies, who put together great ICs for the Austin. So, but then I guess the good thing is like there are 20 people, including myself, that have this board already. I know the problems with the first run. I'm going to fix the fixes. The fixes have already been implemented in the files. It's going to most likely just be I'm getting some help from Heine Bush. Hopefully he's sending me a PCB as long as it works. And the second it works, I just have to have some artwork finalized to move forward. And the one thing I will promise, because I like this and I understand that not everybody has keyboard money, just like on a dime, when I announce the group buy date, the announcement, whatever the group buy date is, I'm going to try my best at minimum to have 28 days of time between announcing the time of group buy and the actual group buy. It is Sandwich Mountain, Zerkowski.
We need
Osiris.
But yeah, no. Other than that, quick shout out to our sponsors. Check out all the companies listed here, sponsors and partners. So switchmod.net, Dixie Mech, Project Keyboard, Canon Keys, and then of course our partners Zap Cables, Type Beast, and then Smith and Rune. Go check them out. They're all running cool stuff. They've all got cool stuff coming up. Get on their newsletters if you want to get in on some extras that are coming up. Zerkowski, if you want to check out, we have actually like 4 or 5 different build streams of Baka 60s on our YouTube. So check it out there, and you can find plenty of in-depth info of the insides and outs of what a Baka 60 is.
I think I've built 4. I've personally built 4 on stream.
I built mine.
So 5.
Yeah.
You have a YouTube channel? We do have a YouTube channel where all of these things go. So there you go. Have fun. There's lots of stuff on there. Exo Squid, I feel like
he needs it.
I feel like you should PM me and maybe I can like offer you like a discount or something.
Now you're gonna get a whole bunch of PMs from people claiming to be Exo Squid.
I'm Exo Squid. So, but yeah, tomorrow building the OSA. So the Squid 60 it will literally be the same board with a different lettering on the plate and some other things that I will have. But outside of like just what it says on the back, it will be the same board. Squiddo and Discord, thank you. I'll hit you up, man. Don't worry. So I'm going to be building my OSA, rebuilding it with alpaca switches tomorrow that I have to lube tomorrow. Excuse me. So be sure to come hang out, say hello. And then Wednesday we have Mr. Teha Types hopefully joining us.
I'm sure he will be there.
The Great Return. If you guys don't remember, we had scheduled a time and he just goofed and forgot. So we'll definitely be at least I will be giving him shit for that.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll. Yeah, it'll be an interesting first starting because we'll be giving him credit.
So
we love ourselves some Nathan Kim. Great guy. Met him in NorCal. But yeah, so come hang out with us tomorrow night. Watch Chewy build his OSA, and come hang out with us with Mr. Teha Types on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central. So,
Mr. Sleeves or Mr. Leaves. I love it. Zerkowski asks, I assume you're asking, is the Baka 60 an amazing board? I'm probably not the right person to ask because I may be a little biased.
I mean, it makes me want to sell my TX, which is the board that it was. If you like Sandwich Mount, if you like brass plates, on a board that's way heavier than it needs to be, it's an amazing board.
Absolutely. Is Apiary, what is she doing?
She's been streaming.
She's been, yeah, I'm checking to see. And I know Plume is up. Seeing what's happening on She looks in the thick of it. We'll hit up Apiary. We'll say hello. Like it better or worse than the Bower? I think they're different boards. They're pretty hard. It's two different layouts, two different mounting options. Custom Cerakote versus anodized. Like it's a lot of. There's a
Very
lot
different.
of difference about them, and different price points. So.
Yep.
Let's start the raid. Thank you guys for a fun stream. What should we say? Say Doodle Bob thanks you for the headphone recommendation.
There you go. What is she? Oh, she's lubing switches.
Yep.
Swatches. That's new. We definitely appreciate everyone coming and hanging out with us. All the follows, all the subs. Come hang out with us tomorrow night. Chewy's going to be building up that OSA, and then Wednesday we'll have Mr. Teja Types. Have a fantastic night, and we'll see you soon.
Hell yeah. Buy a switch tester.